Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
When Donald Trump was sworn in for his second term, three faces with front row seats stood out in the crowd.
Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg, front and center at the inauguration of a billionaire president.
By the way, ahead of members of Congress, cabinet members, people like that, right?
The wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. Thank you very, very much.
Suddenly you have this situation where incredibly wealthy people who at one point didn't seem to be particularly aligned with Donald Trump are standing there on stage.
Elon Musk, the wealthiest of them all, had poured hundreds of millions into Trump's campaign to get him back into the White House.
Musk saw that democracy is for sale in America, that we have practically unlimited political giving, and thought, you know, why not take that all the way?
Take over, Elon, just take it.
He was on the campaign trail, he was jumping on stage, he was giving away money in what seemed to be an illegal lottery.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Trump brought Musk into the White House as a special advisor, giving him free rein to reshape the federal government through a new agency, the Department of Government Efficiency.
DOGE, perhaps you've heard of it, perhaps, which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
Did he get there just randomly? Did it matter that he gave $250 million in the prior election? I think it did.
Our government runs on money. I mean, Elon Musk is a completely unelected billionaire who is able to waltz into the Oval Office whenever he wants. That's because he paid $270 million.
And within a few months, it all came crashing down.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Fault lines traveled across the country to learn why America's richest man put his fortune behind Donald Trump, what he may have bought with his donations, and what else is for sale in Trump's America.
Hey, can I ask you a question on the way? Is there anything in America that's not for sale right now?
Overall season team champions and back up here again for the first
access to the White House, access to the president.
Mr. Elon Musk.
We are witnessing in real time the most corrupt bargain in American history. And now Donald Trump is turning over the keys to the Treasury and the rest of the federal government to Elon Musk. They do want to provide huge tax breaks and big giveaways to the wealthiest in America at the expense of everybody else in America. Are we going to let that happen?
Elon Musk has got to go.
We're about 2 weeks into Trump's second administration, and the protests are happening. Thousands of people have poured out to the Capitol here this morning. One interesting thing, though, what's different in this administration than the last administration is here you don't see that many signs protesting Trump, but far more protesting Musk.
In the opening months of the Trump administration, Musk and his team at DOGE announced over 200,000 job cuts from the federal government.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
In what could be one of the largest mass layoffs in American history, they attempted to shut down entire departments within the government.
I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also have a good time doing it. The first launch of this big rocket coming up soon. Yeah.
It's a stunning reversal for an entrepreneur who received over $38 billion in federal funding over the years.
This is terrific. Thank you very much. How's the car doing?
It's doing great, actually.
Yeah? And how do you split your time between car and rocket?
And who was at one time seen as a champion of progressive causes.
So when you first started working with Musk, he was actually seen as very liberal, right? I mean, he was supporting a number of what would be liberal organizations.
He was giving money to anything from the League of Conservation Voters to the NRDC, National Resources Defense Council, to the Sierra Club in very large sums, to the ACLU also in very large sums. That was really important to him at the time. I think it's probably still important to him, but he has a sort of different take on it now than I do.
Rohan Patel joined Tesla in 2016, straight from the Obama White House, and spent 8 years working directly with Musk.
When Obama took office, you really started having this back and forth of personnel moving between DC and Silicon Valley in a revolving door kind of manner that you've seen in other industries with very little protest or second thought.
Tech was seen at that time as quite a positive. Oh, you're going to work for Facebook, or you're going to work for Google. You're going, almost in some ways like you're going to do something good for the world.
It was a pivotal period during which Tesla and other Silicon Valley tech companies' values rose enormously. But after the election of Donald Trump in 2016, their relationship with the Democratic Party began to fracture.
And that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake. And I'm sorry.
You started to see a lot of people in Congress blaming Facebook for Trump's rise to power. People started to wake up. And so you saw what was called the techlash. And basically, these billionaires who had at that point amassed mass amounts of unchecked wealth started to be looked at a little bit more critically. And they did not like that.
In 2020, when COVID restrictions forced his factories to close, Musk railed against government overreach on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, my opinion is if somebody wants to stay home, they should stay home. And if somebody doesn't want to stay home, they should not be compelled to stay home.
I do think that COVID itself broke his brain.
And you started to see Elon Musk do a bit of a heel turn because he was no longer the hero of the left.
Did you see a change in Elon's politics while you were with him?
Yeah, big time. Now, some of that was cultural, some of that was Twitter, getting down some of these Twitter rabbit holes. I think some of it was Joe Biden.
In 2021, President Biden famously did not invite Musk to an electric vehicle summit at the White House, reportedly because of Tesla's history of fighting union efforts.
They're a vision of the future that is now beginning to happen.
Biden had sort of a personal dislike of Musk and of a lot of these kind of tech billionaires, and Musk took the rejection or the lack of invitation to this White House EV summit very personally.
For God's sakes, you're not including the EV leader in the world, not even just in America, in an EV summit on the South Lawn.
His political evolution played out in real time over thousands of tweets, each one garnering an immediate response from his growing number of followers.
Anytime he would say something that pushed Democrats away, there was an immediate embrace online.
By 2021, he was already spreading anti-LGBTQ propaganda, feeding into the groomer panic, and you could see that he was radicalized.
Musk became fixated on the idea of a woke mind virus threatening Western civilization.
The woke mind virus is something very real to Musk. It's a term that he uses broadly, and it seems to describe any sort of identity politics or kind of social or political idea that is beyond the pale for him. But it comes from somewhere very personal, I think.
So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
So when Musk's daughter came out as trans, he took it very badly. He told the celebrity psychologist Jordan Peterson, the woke mind virus killed my son.
All right, so I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
This is something he is obsessed with and has thought about, and that comes from a real place. And it might be his most kind of developed or specific political idea, actually.
Through COVID, his Twitter influence was growing, and by 2022, he was averaging 220 posts a week.
Elon, what the hell are you, why would you do that? I'd wake up in the morning and try not to check Twitter because I was worried about whatever he might have said.
Later that year, he bought the company.
He recognized that online influence is the most powerful form of modern currency. If you have an influence over our online ecosystems and our information environment, you have something more powerful than money. You can use it to get yourself elected, to get, put yourself in positions of power. Like, you can do anything, right? If you're famous online and if you have online influence. And what better way to amass online influence than by really one of the top 3 major social networks, and the only social network that all of journalism and media runs on.
So I'm definitely on the warpath.
He renamed the company X and reshaped its policies.
He has restored the accounts of many, many far-right and neo-Nazi accounts that had once been banned. He has turned it into a massive megaphone for himself and his own views.
As Musk's politics moved right, he was joining a well-established and growing movement of a very specific strain of reactionary conservatism in Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley has become one of the centers of power of the world. And in fact, that was a piece of the project. It was this sense that entrepreneurs, and in particular these masculine largely white entrepreneurs, would be the saviors of America. And in many ways, they should be the ones we should be listening to about matters of policy and how to live our lives and, everything that traditionally has been a Washington, D.C. jurisdiction.
Musk's co-founder at PayPal wrote in a 2009 essay for the Cato Institute, "I no longer believe freedom and democracy are compatible."
Thiel said in writing many years ago that he sees democracy and freedom as opposed to one another, and he prefers freedom, which is basically unfettered capitalism, to win out. And he thinks that inventing certain technologies will guarantee that kind of freedom.
Peter Thiel was one of the only Silicon Valley tech CEOs to back Trump in 2016.
We're voting for Trump because we judge the leadership of our country to have failed.
He takes what Peter Thiel does and then it's like gasoline on a fire. And I think Peter Thiel has not wanted the personal brand that Elon wants. Elon clearly wants fame and wants to be loved in a way that I don't think Peter Thiel cares about.
Under Musk's leadership, many brands stopped advertising on X. In an interview at the 2023 DealBook Summit, he shot back at them.
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
I think this plays a lot into the reactionary politics of victimhood that Musk and a lot of his peers have kind of developed and acquired over the last 5 to 10 years. And this was another one of those pivot points or data points in that mainstream liberals and the establishment was rejecting them.
It wasn't just Musk. The tech industry as a whole became hostile toward the Biden administration for an agenda they perceived to be anti-tech.
They felt like the Biden administration was in their way, and that whether it was just in the form of criticism from government officials or these restrictions over COVID, the government was not really letting the tech industry be free to innovate and do whatever they wanted to do.
I think that the tech industry aligned themselves with liberalism, neoliberalism, when it would help them, because they knew that if they didn't, it would affect their profit. Now they can just go mask off.
In the past decade, no group has gotten richer or gained more billionaires than the planet's tech moguls. As a group, they're the wealthiest of all, worth a collective $3.2 trillion, transcending the norms of wealth, and now, more importantly, power.
It's hard for them to think of themselves as hoarding wealth or having more than they deserve. And so they come to believe that they're better as a human being.
You don't get to amass the level of wealth that he has and be a moral person.
I think Musk sees himself as a world historic figure.
There's a rise and fall to every civilization. Every civilization has a lifespan.
He talks about wanting to go to Mars, or at least leading people to Mars. It's unclear if Musk himself will make the trip.
That is the gateway to the heavens.
Which, from a certain perspective, can sound very romantic and ambitious and idealistic. But of course, when it's put into practice, what it ends up being is this profound hoarding of resources and greed and cutthroat capitalism that Musk engages in.
The way that Elon Musk seems to view life is that he's the ultimate star of this video game, and everyone else is essentially a NPC or non-playable character. They're the characters that are sort of pre-programmed, that go about their, activities in the game, but they aren't doing anything of consequence. They don't have any agency. They're not real people.
Elon Musk!
By midsummer 2024, Musk decided he would use that wealth to help put Trump back in the White House, and that he would join him there.
Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
Look, billionaires like to have their own way. And at some point, it occurs to them that they've got enough wealth to get it.
Following the path set by Elon Musk, other billionaires have bundled millions of dollars into President Trump and his business interests.
If you're a super rich person, a billionaire who plays Trump's game, you have all the freedom in the world to be as outrageous as you want, to break the law, and to make a lot of money. So for some of them, that's nirvana.
To get a sense of what that nirvana looks like, we joined the Trump family at a golf tournament at their Dural Club near Miami, Florida. While much of the country was protesting the president and Musk, or fretting about their retirement savings,
U.S. markets took a beating for a second day. That due to growing fears of a global trade war and economic recession.
it was like stepping into a different reality here.
Musk didn't pay for access to the White House. He's doing he's a patriot. He's doing our country a favor.
I think eliminating government inefficiency is a good thing.
He doesn't need to do this. He's the richest guy in the world. You can't be bought.
I love Elon Musk. I think he's great for America. I trust him fully. I work with the federal government. I know there's a lot of waste.
My opinion, opinions are like elbows. Everybody's got one. Elon Musk should be a hero.
Well, Musk didn't drop down from the heavens. He's part of the society in which we live. He became the richest person with outrageous levels of wealth because of a society that it both promotes and tolerates mindless and immoral wealth concentration, 100%. He's able to turn that economic power into political power because of a political system that permits him to do that.
Hey, Eric, can we ask you some questions? We're doing a documentary about inequality in America. Should wealth equal political power?
Are we a country where the richest man in the world helped somebody get elected president and then got an office in the White House and then started shutting down huge portions of our federal government? Yes. And I will tell you that any future historian who looks at that is going to say, yeah, that's oligarchy. You know, come on. How can you define it more clearly?
In the other America, outside the bubble of enormous wealth, we joined a crowd in Kenosha, Wisconsin, eager to hear a very different message.
When you look at Washington, D.C. right now, who does it look like is in charge to you?
The oligarchs.
Elon Musk, I don't know.
The person I would say is the most in charge is Elon Musk.
It's the doctrine of money first and all for themselves.
I want you to think back some 6 or so weeks ago when Trump was inaugurated for his second term. Standing right behind Trump as he took his oath of office were the 3 wealthiest men in America. You remember that? Elon Musk, Mr. Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Just imagine for a moment the vulgarity of these people with so much wealth trying to get another tax break by cutting nutrition programs for hungry kids. That is truly disgusting.
This is what Donald Trump and Elon Musk may actually end up doing. What they may end up doing is identifying the threat of the billionaire class, the threat of oligarchy, to enough Americans in a bold enough way that instead of saying, oh, just take us back to what we knew, they say, no, take us someplace where the billionaires don't call all the shots in both parties, right?
In the past decade, campaign spending has increased steadily, leaving both parties dependent on billionaire donors. It leaves the Democrats without a coherent response to the threat of oligarchy now exposed by Elon Musk.
What do the Democrats stand for? How are they expressing it, both specifically in terms of what kind of policies they're supporting, but also kind of what kind of tone are they taking, who they feel like they're for?
A day before Trump's inauguration, DNC Chair Ken Martin revealed their strategy at a party forum.
There are a lot of good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires.
The Democratic response to Trump's and Musk's actions in the initial stages of the administration was absurd, irresponsible, dysfunctional.
Like, where are you? Where's the fight? Where's the spine?
Fundamentally, the Democratic Party is aligned with Elon. I'm sorry, they just are. They're completely aligned with Elon. They're willing to work with Elon. They will cater to him. If he turned around tomorrow and started, saying a few nice things to them, they would be right back on his team.
I think Americans at the grassroots became furious at this.
It's all right. It's
tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
Over the course of President Trump's first 100 days in office, protests became focused on Musk's source of wealth, Tesla.
One strange thing about the Tesla protests has been the inability of the government or of Elon Musk to handle it. What we've seen instead is that Trump has kind of taken Tesla under his protective wing, and that in this enfeebling, almost pathetic way, like you need Donald Trump to have a sales event on the White House lawn for you.
So I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people.
Tesla stock is so intricately tied with his wealth, and so he sees that number goes down and he loses his mind.
Musk had promised he would reduce government spending by $2 trillion. But by the time his appointment as special advisor ended, DOGE's website reported only $175 billion in savings.
I'm sure he went in thinking, as the richest person in the world, he's therefore the most knowledgeable person in the world, and it was obvious how he could make government more efficient. There's no doubt that he believes that he knows everything, including things he knows nothing about. Now it's come back down to earth as the horrific things he's done have harmed the actual companies that he runs.
In the end, it's unclear how much, if any, real savings DOGE created.
I think his legacy from the DOGE perspective will be destructive, that it's likely to actually create more waste and corruption and fraud.
We're going to see in case after case after case, the cuts that Musk forced costing the American taxpayer and costing people in their everyday lives in really significant ways.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA.
Faultline sent a list of questions to Musk through DOGE and his companies, but they didn't respond. We wanted to ask if his foray into Washington wasn't really about saving the government money. What was it all about?
DOGE is a massive data grab because Musk's future, at least as he sees it, is in artificial intelligence. Well, AI companies are running out of good data to harvest. They've bought a lot, they've stolen a lot, but the government's repository of data is just unfathomable. It describes everything of how we live and work and how this country operates and its secrets and everything. And there are a lot of people in tech and in government who think that's really what they're after. If you can feed terabytes and terabytes of government data into Grok, that is a huge competitive advantage that literally no one else in the tech industry is going to have.
In public statements, Musk has said his goal was simply to prevent America from going bankrupt. When Musk's time in government came to an end, Trump gave him a warm farewell and a golden key.
Many of the DOGE people, Elon, are staying behind too, so they're not leaving. And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling.
But the relationship soon unraveled after Musk criticized Trump's budget bill. What started as political disagreement spiraled into insults, accusations, and threats.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if it went well anymore. I was surprised.
Whether or not Elon Musk and President Trump reconcile, one thing is clear. A dangerous new precedent has been set. The price of power laid bare. In today's America, everything is for sale.
It's probably never been true that America was a pure democracy where wealth had no impact. I mean, part of wealth was human beings were defined as property in this country for 100 years. But in modern American history, it's always been the case that money equals more power, but never more so than now.
And now we have, I've lost count, but it's over a dozen billionaires in high posts in the Trump administration.
You have the oligarchs at the table, and the quid pro quos seem much more on the surface.
I think a lot of these other tech CEOs have seen what Elon got, and they're like, oh, sign us up. We're on board. Because if it's that easy, sure, we'll be reactionary for a while. It's like, oh, I can actually say my horrible views, donate millions and millions of dollars, and yeah, I can have whatever I want in terms of the government.
Some version of what he's been doing will continue to be done after he's gone.
The future is gonna be amazing!